Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess from BehatiLife. Thank you so much for tuning in. We need to talk about the Capricorn full moon. It's going to be happening at 12:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 degrees Capricorn. I pulled up the chart for it. I compared my natal chart to this full moon chart, and I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a big one. A little piece of me kind of wants to take 2 days off before, definitely the day of, and maybe a day after, just because. But it shouldn't be too heavy or too intense for the majority of you. I just have Capricorn in an important spot within my chart that makes me sensitive and vulnerable. So me personally, because I can do it, I would like to be able to take that time for myself. But the biggest thing that I see when I'm looking at this chart is the fact that, full moons in general tend to heighten our emotions. Think about it. The moon represents our emotions, our emotional well-being. The sun represents our ego, and they're opposing each other. So the sun blasts its light onto the full moon, lighting its face up. And what this does is it energetically works to kind of expose our feelings, expose things that have been hiding or lying dormant. Now, Saturn rules the energy of this full moon, and this is because Capricorn is naturally ruled by Saturn. Saturn has been retrograde since April of 2018 and has been working to kind of restructure and dismantle and destroy in a lot of ways, especially destroy it when it's working simultaneously with Pluto. Pluto is notorious for killing things off and, you know, wiping things, trying to wipe the slate clean. But Capricorn, or I'm sorry, Saturn, Saturn is working to kind of make you revisit your commitments, make you revisit and look at your responsibilities and the things that you have been working to build on, at least for the last 4 months. Saturn wants you always to learn the lesson, and if you don't learn the lesson, then it will push you into a space where you will get punished. Sometimes it's severe and sometimes not so severe, but either way, that punishment can come in and feel kind of harsh. So when I'm looking at the chart, the first thing that I see is the fact that the moon representing our emotions is sitting directly on top of Saturn. Saturn rules the energy of this full moon. So what I see is the tendency, or at least the potential, for feelings to be not only exposed and brought to the surface, but I see feelings that can be hard to sit with sometimes. We're feeling very emotional. We're feeling very, if there's like issues of disappointment or heartache or depression or sadness or loneliness, those feelings can kind of come up to the surface. And what I love when I look at this chart is because what I see is that you're being asked in this moment, especially after the last 4, and for some people it's longer than 4 months, but for the majority of us it's been the last 4 months of intense scrutiny and rebuilding and restructuring and dismantling and destroying this destruction that's been happening in your life. Now, because this reading is for a general audience, I'm not saying directly where this is happening within your life, because it just depends on what Capricorn rules within your chart and where Saturn falls within your chart and where Saturn is currently transiting. So when we put all those pieces together, then I can target and see what exactly is being kind of destroyed and reworked and rerouting is what I'll say. And either way, 9 times out of 10, you already know, because you're like, okay, this is probably where it's happening, because this is where I've seen the most growth and the most challenges. So, and a lot of those challenges can come across very painful, because they make us reflect on who we are as a person. They make us reflect on our weaknesses. They challenge us to grow up and to learn and to do different and be different. That's the whole purpose of Saturn and Pluto and all of these planets, especially the major planets. It's their job and responsibility to kind of light the way, even though in front of your eyes it doesn't make sense. They know what's ahead. They know what's best for you. They know how abundant this universe is and how infinite it is, and how that infinity kind of goes on and what blessings are trying to come in and are blocked because we're kind of latched onto certain stuff. So with Saturn, we always want to be very careful about what it is that we're holding on to, especially when it comes to long-term vision and long-term commitment, because this planet simply will not allow you to stay in a space where what you're holding on to is not going to serve you for the long term, for the greater good, and for your highest and greatest good. So I do see this kind of reflection period. It's almost like the image that I get is someone, you know, sitting at a body of water, and there's been a lot of water that we've been talking about lately. I know you guys know that, especially for those of you guys who are old friends to the channel. But it's almost like I see people looking into this body of water, and the water is still, and we see our reflection. There's a few ripples, but when we're still, we can see and look ourselves in our eyes, and just look deep into our eyes and see the pain, the hurt, the suffering, and also the good and the blessing and the happiness and the hope and the faith. So we see both of those things being mirrored. And even when you see yourself, the reflection of yourself, and you see your reflection in your own eyes, you can look at yourself with love and joy and faith, but still there's this, like, I don't want to say sadness, but emotional realness, this emotional rawness. And that's what I'm seeing for this full moon, if I'm being honest. So Sun is sitting in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is highly sensitive and very receptive and very emotional for the most part. In a lot of ways, it kind of needs time to kind of retract, even though it does so much in the day-to-day. It's one of the most accommodating, most compassionate, understanding, nurturing signs within the entire zodiac. But at the same time, as much as it gives, it needs to kind of take some time to pull back and just sit for a moment and be with itself, by itself, so it can just feel all that it feels and just be in a space where it's sacred and safe for you to be vulnerable. So I see that happening the night of the full moon. I definitely see emotions being heightened the days around it, especially the day before the full moon and the day after the full moon. The other thing that I'm seeing is that, and I don't want you guys to think that this is all negative, because what I see is the more that you are sitting with your feelings and the more that your emotions are kind of stirred up, the more they become apparent, the more what you want becomes apparent. I see people really connecting with their heart's truest desires simply because of the pain, the frustration, and the challenges that they've been just walking out of the last 4 months, some of you guys again longer. So if it wasn't for that like struggle, you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't be in a space where you're now more open and vulnerable to what you truly want. What I don't want is for you guys to have your guard up and to be protected and to be defensive. Do you need to protect yourself? Always guard your heart, of course. Always guard your energy. But when your intuition is kind of revealing certain things to you and intuitively you feel guided, instead of asking for sign after sign after sign, instead of questioning it, just allow yourself to be in a space of complete vulnerability. And it's tough with this full moon because Capricorn is one of those signs that is notoriously has the wall up, the defense up. But I also see a challenge for you to let it down. So what I see for this is the potential for, thank God, everything happens for a reason. Mercury ruling communication is still very much sensitive, highly sensitive and receptive, and has a lot on its heart, has a lot on its chest that it needs to say and communicate. Uranus, the planet of surprise, innovation, and erratic development, is working in Taurus. Again, changing things up in the sign of Taurus. I made the video about Uranus and Taurus a while ago, so I can link that down below. But Uranus is going to be very closely triggering Mercury. So what I see with this is things that need to be said, text messages that may come in that have the truth, the realness, the honesty, the raw, this is who I am, this is what I feel, this is what I think, this is what's up. The other thing, I don't want you guys to get freaked out by all of what I'm saying now. If anything, I feel like you resonate with it and it makes sense. But I don't want you to think that it's going to be negative and emotional. I do see, even though that's a high chance, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I do see the chance for some really strong feelings to have a chance to kind of cement themselves and to all fall together. And this is because I feel like, and what I'm seeing when I look at the chart is I see partnerships that have been established maybe years ago, almost like 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. It's a long chunk of time. So people that you may have been, that have been on your radar, but maybe you haven't had the chance, or maybe you guys were not mature enough, or maybe you weren't ready enough. I see the potential for those people coming together and to cement and build committed bonds. Now that could be romantic, it could be business, it could be professional, it could be personal, it could be just two companies deciding, let's really, like, I've seen you before, I've seen what you're doing, I love what you're doing, why don't we work together to create something magical? Like, or these are old ideas that we've been talking about, let's make them, let's cement them. Not only do I see this for partnerships, but I see that for my clients. I see that for you guys. I see you becoming very serious and focused and creating a plan and committing yourself to it. So even though these feelings that I see when I'm looking at this chart can be emotional, the emotions stem from a space of, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to wait anymore. This is what I want. This is what I need. And this heaviness, this seriousness that I see is a person committing themselves and locking themselves into a plan of action that is going to serve them for the long term, for the rest of their, hopefully, maybe, potentially the rest of their life, or at least the next few years to come, because Saturn is all about long-term investment, longevity. What are we building towards? What are we working towards? I do see a slight tendency to maybe be a little over-exaggerating with your expression and how you talk and communicate and how you do things. With that, I just say kind of slow down a little bit. I think that so much of this full moon is very emotional and very intense in the way that it's like, I'm serious now. I'm serious. I'm serious. I love this. I love you. You know, we've been in each other's lives for some time now. Let's cement this. Let's make this real. Let's say it's a health-related plan. That's like, okay, I'm serious. I'm done feeling sick. I'm done feeling exhausted. I'm going to cement this plan of health and vitality. It all depends on where your planets are falling within your chart. But at the same time, slow and steady kind of wins the race, at least around the days around this full moon. There is a tendency to kind of want to hit the brakes, hit the gas and kind of just floor it. But there's so much emotion, there's so much on the line, there's so much invested that it's really in your highest and greatest, like, good and for your best interest to kind of take it step by step and choose your words carefully. And when I say choose your words carefully, I mean, if you've been feeling something, if you've been thinking about something, if there is something on your heart that needs to be expressed and needs to be said, you want to find the words. I'm really sick and tired of people staying in a space of holding on to these feelings and this energy, whether it be creative, whether it be emotion. And I see you, I just want to see you guys step into a space where you are not afraid to express your idea, your thought, your emotion, your feeling. Who cares what other people are going to say? Who cares how they're going to swallow that pill? You know what I mean? Meaning, like, sometimes it's a lot. But you never know. You never know. And it can really open up the door for maybe not right now, but the years to come. And your growth is so important. And your actions, like your habits, the habits that you're creating now and how you become comfortable with talking openly and expressing yourself, makes it so that when the time comes with the right person, the right thing, the right opportunity, it's like second nature. So you want to get into a space where these habits that you've created are not detrimental. They're not, you know, holding you back. They're building you up, and it becomes second nature. There's no second thought to this. It's just like, of course I'm going to tell you what I think because you need to know. Or of course I'm going to tell you how I feel because I'm not going to hold on to these feelings and with the hope that maybe you feel the same way. Like, how can someone know if you don't say it? You're just going to keep on dropping hints? It's juvenile. It's immature. You're better than that. Just push yourself. Push yourself. Push yourself to do better. That's the other thing, too, is that a lot of what I see during this full moon, it's important for you guys to prioritize your own vulnerability, your own rawness, your own realness, your own authenticity, because this full moon is working to heal through your action, to heal through words, to heal through, I don't want to say impulse, but those, I don't want to say commitment, but the decision to act according to what you've been thinking, feeling, wanting, desiring, growing, insert here. You know what I mean? All right, my guys. So this full moon, I had to make this video as soon as possible because I just felt it would be so intense and so good and so magical. This is my full moon. I already know. I already know that this is going to be important and significant for me in my life. So I'm probably going to take the day off just to focus on myself, focus on my intention, focus on my magic, and also create oils for my clients and just things that I want to do for myself. Do you know what I mean? So it's up to you how you're going to use this full moon to your advantage. But for the most part, pull your chart and see where the full moon is happening within your sign. Again, it's 6 degrees Capricorn, so definitely check that out. And then good luck manifesting. Keep me posted on how this feels for you, how it impacts you. And if you're watching this early, because this video is going to be uploaded very early, if you're watching this earlier on, what is your intuition telling you that this full moon is going to bring to you? I would like to know, so let me know in the comments. All right, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for sharing, liking, thumbs upping this video, and leaving all of your comments down below. We'll talk soon. Bye.